Frontline Updates, where we delve deep into military strategies and updates from conflict zones. Today, we're discussing the progress of the ongoing special military operation as of today. I'm your host, Sharifa Mohammed MGT.
I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an Infantry Officer.
The reported strike patterns reflect a systematic campaign design that integrates deep precision strikes with synchronized multi-axis ground pressure. The Russian strike package, air-launched precision munitions plus attack drones, targeted three distinct Ukrainian warfighting enablers: defense industrial facilities, transport nodes, and airfields. This indicates a sustained interdiction campaign aimed at degrading Ukraine's logistical throughput and operational repair capacity, not merely tactical gains. Force posture remains offensively oriented across all six sector groups: north, west, south, center, east, Dnepr. Each reported tactical improvement. Taking advantageous lines, advancing to depth, suggests a phased offensive rhythm designed to fix Ukrainian reserves across a broad front.
Welcome to Frontline Updates, the podcast that brings you in-depth insights into military operations from those leading them on the ground. Today, we're joined by Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer monitoring critical missions on the progress of the special military operation as of today. Colonel Oguntoye, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, it's good to be here.
Colonel, let's start with the operational picture at the campaign level. What was the strategic logic behind yesterday's group strike, and how does it fit into the broader Russian approach to combined arms warfare?
The strike you referenced, a combined group strike using long-range air-based precision weapons and attack drones, was not an isolated event. It was a deliberate application of what we call systematic interdiction. The targets were not random. They were carefully selected. Defense industry facilities that produce or repair armored vehicles and munitions. Transport infrastructure that moves Western-supplied equipment from Poland to the front, and airfields hosting Ukrainian fixed-wing and unmanned platforms. By hitting these three nodes simultaneously, the Russian command aims to degrade Ukraine's ability to sustain combat operations over a multi-week horizon. This is a classic example of operational art, linking tactical strikes to strategic objectives. The goals were achieved. All assigned targets were hit. But the more important metric is the cumulative effect. We are slowly severing the logistical arteries that keep the Ukrainian army in the field.
That makes sense. Now let's walk the map sector by sector. Starting with the North Group, what happened along the Sumy and Kharkiv axis? And why is that sector critical right now?
The North Group operates along a sensitive seam. On one side, you have the Russian border. On the other, Ukrainian logistics hubs like Semy and Shastka. Over the past 24 hours, our units improved the tactical situation near Koronek, Novaya Sech, and Shastka. We inflicted losses on a Ukrainian mechanized brigade and two territorial defense brigades. In the Kharkiv region, we hit two mechanized brigades, a territorial defense brigade, and a border detachment near Veseloy, Ternavaya, Izbitskoye, and Kolodeznoye. The enemy lost more than 195 troops, one tank, one armored fighting vehicle, 13 motor vehicles, a field artillery gun, an electronic warfare station, and crucially, an ammunition depot, 6 material depots, and a fuel depot. Why is that important? Because the North Sector is a potential staging area for a Ukrainian cross-border raid or a counter-penetration toward Belgorod.
A follow-up on logistics there. You mentioned 6 material depots. Does that suggest the North Group is shifting from a defensive posture to a shaping role for a possible future advance towards Sumy City?
That is an astute observation. I would say the posture is active defense with offensive reconnaissance. We are not yet at the threshold for a full-scale assault on Sumy, but by degrading enemy supply stocks, we create a window of vulnerability. If Ukrainian reserves are drawn south to other sectors, the North Group could exploit that gap. For now, the priority is to fix the enemy in place and interdict their resupply. The loss of 13 motor vehicles alone means an entire company's worth of transport capacity is gone. That translates directly into slower reaction times for Ukrainian maneuver elements.
Moving west along the line, the West Group reported frontline improvements near Borovaya Krasny Liman, and Lozovoye. What was their specific mission, and what tactical method did they use?
The West Group's mission was to pin Ukrainian forces in the Donetsk-Kharkiv border zone, while preventing them from shifting reserves to the center sector. They struck 2 mechanized brigades, an airmobile brigade and a territorial defense brigade. The enemy lost up to 210 troops, 3 armored fighting vehicles, 13 motor vehicles, 2 artillery guns, and 2 ammunition depots. The method was pressure along multiple axes simultaneously. Not a single breakthrough attempt, but a series of company-sized probing attacks supported by artillery and drones. This forces the Ukrainian command to spread their counter-battery assets and infantry. The neutralization of 2 ammunition depots is especially relevant because those depots likely stored 122mm and 152mm shells. Without them, Ukrainian artillery units in that sector must either withdraw to resupply or fire at reduced rates. That directly degrades their ability to support forward positions.
You mentioned artillery. How does the South Group fit into this, particularly around Nikolaipolye and Konstantinovka?
The South Group took more advantageous lines and positions, a phrase that means they advanced against prepared defenses, not just open ground. They engaged 4 mechanized brigades near Nikolaipolye, Novosilovka, Nikolayevka, and Konstantinovka. The enemy lost over 205 troops, 2 armored fighting vehicles, 15 motor vehicles, 1 artillery gun, and 4 electronic warfare stations. Also neutralized, 4 ammunition depots and 6 materiel depots. The standout here is the 4 electronic warfare stations. In modern warfare, EW is the invisible arm. Those stations were likely jamming our reconnaissance drones and disrupting tactical communications between Ukrainian company positions. By destroying them, the South Group created an electromagnetic window for our own UAVs to operate more freely, which in turn improved targeting accuracy for tube and rocket artillery. This is a classic counter-ISR action that amplifies every other weapon system in the sector.
Let's go to the Center Group. They reported the highest Ukrainian losses of any sector, more than 315 troops. Why the difference?
Because the Center Group is operating in the main effort sector for the current operational phase. They hit 3 mechanized brigades, 2 Marine brigades, 2 National Guard brigades, and a territorial defense brigade near Ivanovka in Dnepropetrovsk, and then Krasnopodoly, Svetloy, Belitskoy, Krasnoyarskoy, Grishino, Dobropoli, and Torskoy in the Donetsk People's Republic. That is a broad front. The loss of 315 troops reflects intense close combat, likely trench assaults, and urban fighting in built-up areas. The Marine and National Guard brigades are higher quality Ukrainian units with better morale and equipment. Engaging them directly is costly, but necessary to break the backbone of Ukrainian defense in Donbass. The Center Group also destroyed 6 armored fighting vehicles, 3 motor vehicles, and a field artillery gun. The relatively low number of vehicle losses compared to personnel suggests the fighting was dismounted infantry in complex terrain.
A follow-up on that. With such high personnel losses, how does the Center Group sustain its own tempo without exhausting its infantry?
That is the central challenge of offensive operations. The answer lies in rotation and reserves. The Russian command has been rotating battalion tactical groups from other sectors into the Center Group's area, while keeping an operational reserve of 2 to 3 brigades uncommitted. Additionally, we're using a fire-centric approach, inflicting as many casualties as possible with artillery and drones before committing dismounted infantry to clear trenches. The reported numbers show that method is working. But tempo is always a trade-off. If Ukrainian losses continue at this rate, they will face a manpower crisis in this sector within 60 to 90 days. Our own losses are not negligible, but we maintain the advantage in artillery ammunition production and drone supply.
Now, the East Group, they advanced to the depths of enemy defense. What does that mean operationally, and what did they hit?
Advancing to the depths means they penetrated beyond the first line of trenches and into the operational rear, where command posts, reserve staging areas, and logistics nodes are located. The East Group struck 2 assault brigades, a Marine brigade, and a territorial defense brigade near Gavrilovka and Alexandrovka in Dnepropetrovsk. and Vozdvizhevka and Barvinovka in Zaporozhye. The enemy lost up to 230 troops, 1 armored fighting vehicle, 5 motor vehicles, and a Croatian-made RAK-Se-12 multiple launch rocket system vehicle. That last item is tactically significant. The RAK-Se-12 is a 128mm mobile rocket launcher, Western supplied via Croatia. Destroying it removes a precision area denial weapon from the Ukrainian arsenal. Also neutralized were 2 material depots. The East Group's advance suggests that Ukrainian defenses in that corridor are thinning, possibly because reserves were pulled to the center sector.
And finally, the Dnepr Group, often described as a holding sector. But they reported destroying 28 motor vehicles. That seems disproportionate. What is happening there?
That is an excellent catch. The Dnepr Group operates near Dmitrovo, Balabino, and Orakov in Zaporozhye. They inflicted losses on a Ukrainian mountain assault brigade and a territorial defense brigade. More than 50 troops, 2 field artillery guns, 28 motor vehicles, 2 electronic warfare stations, and an ammunition depot. 28 motor vehicles is a very high number for a single day. This tells me that the Dnepr Group conducted a deliberate ambush on a Ukrainian logistics convoy, likely using long-range fire, drones, or a raid by special reconnaissance. Mountain assault brigades are light infantry. They depend entirely on wheeled transport for mobility. By destroying 28 trucks, jeeps, and support vehicles, the Dnepr Group has effectively immobilized a significant portion of that brigade for several days. This is not a holding action. It is a systematic strangulation of Ukrainian supply lines in the south.
Colonel, we have covered the ground sectors. Now I want to focus on a domain that is often treated as a footnote: operational tactical aviation. Yet your briefing states that aviation, attack drones, missile troops, and artillery struck energy infrastructure, UAV production and storage facilities, and temporary deployment areas of Ukrainian armed groups and foreign mercenaries in 147 areas. How does that shape the campaign independently of ground maneuver?
Aviation is not a supporting arm. It is a campaign-shaping domain in its own right. Let me break down what those 147 area strikes accomplished. First, energy infrastructure that operates in the interests of the armed forces of Ukraine. That means power substations, transformer yards, and fuel depots that feed not just military bases, but also rail networks. When you degrade energy infrastructure, you slow the movement of ammunition from Western Ukraine to the front. A train loaded with 155mm shells cannot move if the overhead electric lines are down. That is a direct lever on Ukrainian logistics. Second, long-range unmanned aerial vehicle production and storage facilities. This is a counterforce strike against a specific weapon system. Ukraine has been using long-range drones to strike Russian rear areas, oil refineries, airfields, logistics hubs. By hitting the production lines and storage bunkers, we are cutting the supply chain of those drones.
Colonel, thank you for providing such a detailed briefing on the current military situation. Your insights are invaluable to our understanding of the conflict's dynamics. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Join us next time as we continue to provide up-to-date coverage on global military affairs. Stay with us for more updates and expert analyses on global defense and security issues. Stay informed, stay secure.
Thank you for the opportunity. I want to emphasize that from a purely military standpoint, foreign mercenaries, whether from private military companies or state-sponsored volunteers, bring specialized skills, operating Western air defense systems, programming advanced drones, or providing tactical training. By targeting their assembly areas, we remove those skills from the battlefield. That is a combat multiplier. The strategic implication is that any nation considering sending personnel should understand that it will be treated as a legitimate military target, not protected as a non-combatant.
This has been Frontline Updates. Subscribe for daily military briefings and in-depth strategic analysis. Visit our platform for maps, transcripts, and exclusive frontline updates from commanders in theater.